Beautiful.
I have the best clap.
I have the best
I have
claps.
the best claps. No one can clap like me. I want clapping
You
to
want
be
to be
accessible
able
to everybody.
to clap like me, take your ivermectin.
Eat horse. Horse paste. Medicine's the best. Okay. Hockey, never heard of it. You know, she can't play hockey, doesn't have the stamina.
Got the stamina.
You're lacking of stamina. Babkins. Doing all this while you're panicking.
Bam. Tougie's just on the floor.
Oh, God.
Fuck, man. We're warmed up. We're good. It's just going to get better and better, isn't it?
God, do I just intro the podcast from here? Do I leave this in?
No.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
That's the opener. Welcome to it, baby.
Oh, fucking hell. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. You do the intro. Let's go.
Hello,
You got
everybody. It's me, Endo. I'm here with my lovely fellows, Tougie and Sin for the Win with the Tougies Take podcast, starring us, the guys, the fellas, and also brought to you by our lovely.
Brought to you by Manscaped.
Yes.
For all your male grooming needs, up top, down below, even Big Bird approves. And use code Tougie at checkout for 20% off worldwide shipping. Probably some other points that we're missing, but apparently we've already lost it. He's got it on screen right
There you go.
there.
It's Movember.
God.
You got to keep it nice. You're growing it out for charity. You got to make sure it's nice and clean and crisp. You know what I mean? You could be raising it up here, but you got to make sure down there is there if that's an issue.
Well, no, maybe you want to grow the Movember bush.
And get it like the pin needle needle mustache.
Oh my God, I'm crying. And if you want to grow out your Movember bush, then hey, in December, make sure you take advantage of our sponsor in Manscaped. Code Tougie at checkout. 20% off your order. Free worldwide shipping with our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped, I'm crying.
We haven't even talked about it.
That's their new slogan. Manscaped, I'm crying.
Manscaped, the tears burn. Oh,
But it won't
God.
burn
Hello,
when you use the lawnmower. Let's go. Bam. We got it, baby. Woo!
We made it. All right, everybody, welcome
Okay, we're back.
to another edition. We're here again, as Endo said, and the title of this episode, Us, the Guys, the Fellas. We are back after a very interesting weekend in the hockey world, but before we get to talking specifically about the Hochie, viewer questions are back, baby. I told you they'd be back. It was just a matter of craziness in the hockey world and the sports world dying down a little bit. I guess it didn't die down in the sports world because the first question that we have today, and again, if you want to have your question answered, make sure you pay attention to my account on Twitter at Tougie24. Before we record, I'll always put up a tweet there that you can respond to, or join the Discord. There's a podcast questions section there as well. The first question comes from Hawks. NFL overreactions halfway through the season. Now, we haven't really talked about football much. Haven't talked about football that much, really, since the season has started, as we were trying to get our groove down here with a new three-man booth, so to speak. But highlights of the NFL season so far. Yesterday, you had the Buffalo Bills lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is the greatest highlight I've ever seen. Bills gonna Bill. They're still probably gonna win the division, but at least the Patriots are keeping it close, is pretty much. That's my hot take. That's my overreaction. The Patriots aren't complete trash like the Dolphins or the Jets. In terms of other overreactions, man, I don't know. It's really tough to look because you can go division by division. Now, I know Endo's not the biggest football fan in the world. Sin is a Packers fan, so that makes things interesting. The fact that they are in a god-awful division, but they're 7-2. We don't really know who the quarterback of the team is going to be the rest of the way through.
Joe Rogan.
The mentor becomes the man. Get Joe in there, all 5'4" of them. Oh my God.
Well, I learned that love isn't ready. That was an incredible defensive performance by the Packers, and they could only muster 7 points. My overreactions is, what is up with the Chiefs? 5-4, and they were just kind of gift wrapped a win essentially in that last game. So
They almost lost to the Giants last week too.
yeah,
I don't understand it. The good thing for them is the AFC West. They have the Broncos, who suck, but of course they beat the Cowboys. You have the Raiders, who poor Derek Carr being stuck with that organization, because what the hell is going on there? And then you have the Chargers, who are better than 5-3, but are 5-3. And it's like, okay, when are the Chargers going to finally not blow it? So, like, literally, NFL-wise, I think the reason why we haven't talked about it is because we've had so much to talk about hockey-wise, but there's so much going on in this NFL season. It's ridiculous. Like, trust me, I wanted to talk about Urban Meyer getting lap dances, because that is content, just easy content. But we just didn't have time.
imagine not having time for lap dances, guys. I mean, you understand the professionalism that we are undertaking here and choosing to not cover the lap dances.
Overreaction, the Patriots are winning the Super Bowl. Next question. This comes from Devs. Thoughts on abolishing the shootout? Now, this is something that I've been asked on this show before. I ain't for it, but I ain't again it. Like, it is what it is. If they wanted to go to 3-on-3 continuous until it ends, cool, whatever. For you guys, though, I'll turn it over to Endo first. What do you think? Your thoughts on the shootout?
As a resident goalie, it'd be really, really nice because that way there's not as much pressure. But as a casual fan, the shootout is nice. Get to see specialists go out there and do their thing. You basically have like a black ace in a way, and have them come out and just kill it.
UC Jokinen.
Yeah, UC Jokinen. Or we got like TJ Oshie, who's I think he's still away right now, isn't he? Or is he still back?
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
The Capitals are another interesting team that we have to talk about a
Very
little bit today,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
I don't know TJ Oshie's health status.
Yeah. Or TJ Sochi, as they call him because of the shootout over there. But I'm like I said, I'm halfway through. Either keep it or leave it, or Either way, I feel like the shootout's really fun for fans, so they can see crazy stuff happen, some really creative moves that you usually don't get to see during the game. Well, now you get to see it during the game anyway, because how the game's advanced. But it'd be pretty cool just to keep it in.
I hate the shootout, and I hope it goes away forever. It was a very nice novelty for the first couple years, but now it's completely not needed. What I wanted when they first introduced 3-on-3, what I was really hoping is they'd do like 5-minute 4-on-4, then a 5-minute 3-on-3, and then go to the shootout. But instead, they took away the 4-on-4, just went to 3-on-3. Honestly, I am all for just complete. Like, I don't know. I don't like the shootout. I think it's not hockey, and I think you're deciding a game based on something that is not at the core root of what hockey is. It's not like a one-on-one situation. It's a team sport. It's some semblance of, I don't know. And it just kind of becomes a skills competition, whereas it's, again, the sport's about who's the best team. And in that competition, well, you have the best individual player who can, do something at a certain time for you or make a certain move. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm not a huge fan of it. The problem is, if you don't want ties, how do you do away with it? And how do you avoid some games becoming stalemate? Because we've seen at times with some 3-on-3 play, it can be boring because teams are, if they want to be passive with it, keep exiting the zone, looking for the perfect break, and exit the zone again, perfect break. And after the first couple years of just the chaotic mess that 3-on-3 was and how exciting it was, eventually teams do find a system. So it's probably a necessary evil, the shootout. I just am not a huge fan of it.
Yeah. It's funny how you mentioned at the beginning, because a lot of minor hockey tournaments, what they'll do is they'll have, for overtime, there won't be a shootout. But there would be like 4-on-4, then 3-on-3, then 2-on-2. And like when it's 2-on-2, it gets crazy because what some teams will do is they'll pull that goalie. Like if they're in like a round robin game, or usually that's in like the playoffs or the finals. They'll pull their goalies, so it'll be 3 skaters on 2 forwards and a goalie. And it's absolute mayhem. Like guys are, it turns like a bag skate basically.
That's crazy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to like
That would be
rush
pretty-
someone back to the bench if you turn the puck over, try to get the goalie back out, or they just go all in.
Just got to stay out at that point.
Yeah, I
don't
was
think the
gonna
goal
say,
can
yeah.
move fast enough. Next question. Here we go. Hard right, everybody. Hard right. This one comes from AJ. He says, I got a good one. We'll be the judge of that. With Remembrance Day coming up in Canada, do you have any war stories passed down from your relatives? No. No, I don't. Nor does Endo, I'm pretty sure. So, welcome to Sin's War Stories.
Yeah. Well, I had two immediate family members serve. I had my grandfather who served during World War II, and my uncle who served during Vietnam. He never told his war stories. He did a lot of. Well, he was the best shot in his platoon. They pulled him out to do spec ops stuff, so he never ever talked about what he did, and went down a very, very dark path of alcoholism and died a few years ago from liver disease and lung cancer. By a few years ago, I mean like 10. Anyway, but yeah, my grandfather had the most incredible stories from when he served, stationed in various places. He was in India for a bit. He was in, I think, Britain for a while, and maybe even France at one point. He was an Air Force pilot. He started out as that, and then eventually just was training people. And he passed when I was 16. So unfortunately, I don't really, at that age when I was younger, especially, I didn't have a lot of the kind of wherewithal to sort of listen all the time to his stories and really hold on to them, which at this point, you obviously wish you do. But one of the ones I really hold on to is when he was training free Chinese pilots. And I think some from India too. The ones they were just, when the occupation, when they were able to kind of, push Japan out of China, push the Germans and the Italians kind of, out of parts of India. He was able to sort of start training them and to fly. And he said he just remembers like one of the most the worst thing was that half the people that he was training, they were rushing them along so fast. He's like, yeah, half the people I was training, I knew that I was never going to see again. So I rarely bothered to, really get on first name basis with them. I was just told to teach them the basics. He tried to go, above and beyond, try to really teach them stuff. But at that point in the war, it's just, you had all the planes, but it was tough to find pilots just because so many were going down at that time. So that's a very kind of intense and really somber sort of story that he had that always kind of stuck with me. That in war, like, it's just kind of insane when you get to that point. You have the supplies, but the manpower is just being treated as that supply. You train them up to a certain point, send them out there, and a lot of them don't come back. It's nuts.
So I don't have a great way to segment out of that.
Sorry,
of
everyone,
course, but I was intrigued. So what I had done before the show started is I asked these two. I'm like, "Hey, anything you got?" Sin's like, "Yeah, I got stuff to share," and I'm like, "All right, cool. I don't know what direction it's gonna go, but hey,
I've heard some stories. I was formerly in Army Cadets here in Toronto, Cadets Canada. Great 5 years, 6 years, kept me on track with being a decent individual. It was right around that time when I was like 12, 13, so you're kind of figuring out what you kind of are and who are as a person. And that was one thing that kept me in line. And the stories I've heard it's ridiculous. I can't describe it. Those are the stories that like I've heard too, and like there's probably other ones that we haven't heard of that I haven't heard. And it's crazy how war was and how everything was then. And by God, I hope to the heavens nothing crazy like that happens ever again. There's stuff happening right now, but I just want everyone to be happy. I don't want to lose family members for someone else's. I don't want other people being pawns in someone else's game. If that makes any sense.
And we shall leave it at that and go to our final viewer question here. Again, this time out. This comes from Hibbs Gaming. New listener, love the podcast. Hey. Have you tried Franchise Hockey Manager at all? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Now, longtime supporters of mine will know that I have been affiliated, essentially, with the people behind the FHM series for the past couple of years. No word on whether or not there'll be a code Tougie for that, but hey, we'll find out very, very soon. Yeah, no, FHM is a phenomenal PC-based NHL manager or hockey manager sim. Like, literally, it's in the name. For those who don't know, it's not, and I will give them the free publicity with or without the code because they've been great people to work with. But essentially, it's kind of what a lot of people wish the EA NHL franchise mode was. Like, oh, do you want to control a team in the KHL and play in the KHL with accurate KHL rules and everything like that? Okay, cool, you can do that. Do you want to be in the ECHL? Cool, you can do that. Like, the amount of variety just in a modern day setup is crazy, but then the real selling point for it for me is the fact that you can go back to any year between 1918, last I knew, and modern day and play in the NHL. With accurate rosters, with accurate rules for the time. You can control whether or not the 67 expansion happens the way that it happened, or, you know, the if Minnesota joins the league when they did. It's ridiculous. And it is a game that you can sink an unbelievable amount of time into. It's unreal. I highly recommend everyone check it out. Now is a great time to get on board. FHM 8 just came out at the end of last week. It is at Franchise Hockey on Twitter. Boys, I don't know if you guys have played anything with it beyond maybe checking out the streams when I've been able to play it.
Yeah,
but
I haven't actually. I've watched part of it. Some of what you've done to me. It all, I don't know. It seemed to have a lot of in-depth. It was almost kind of intimidating for me to sort of get into, just with how in-depth it was. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm that into all the kind of bells and whistles on that. That being said, I did really like a lot of the the customization that 2K has. So I don't know. Maybe I would be actually into Franchise Hockey Manager. Eventually, I'll just have to purchase it and try it out. Instead of like looking at it and being overwhelmed by it. But yeah, that's the only thing I would say for some people who are coming from EHL. If you look at it the first time, it's like, it can be a lot. You're like, holy shit, that's a lot to manage. And
yeah, most of it's just watching the streams. I'm like, this is a lot, and you break it down so easily, and I'm like, I can't. I'm just gonna watch this and be entertained.
It took me a while to get used to it, and they have made it a little bit easier in terms of like navigation. But yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot to that particular game. But yeah, highly recommend everyone check it out. That said, again, thank you guys for sending in those questions. Again, you know the deal. Twitter, Discord, you want to get your questions in. With that, I say, oh so joyously, boys, there's nothing overly major to talk about, right? Like, there's still a lot of things that have settled down in terms of general topics. Like, I mentioned this to Sin before we started recording. Like, hey, where's an update in regards to, like, oh, what's going on? Like, Kyle Beach stuff. A lot of that has, I don't want to say simmered down, but there aren't the continued breaking developments that we've seen over the past 2 weeks. Really, the only update to any story is that high school in Pennsylvania where the people were, or the students were, you know, essentially verbally abusing, a young girl who was playing goaltender for one of the teams. Like, hey, yeah, guess what? They've been reprimanded for that, as you would expect. So thank God, common sense prevails there. There really hasn't been too much there. So we're going to be able to go straight into kind of the day by day as we do. And I want to take us back to the long, long ago of Thursday, which feels like it was 7 years ago already. I don't know what's going on. But Thursday's games, highlighted by the Bruins beating the Detroit Red Wings 5-1. Patrice Bergeron, my captain, scores 4 goals, his first 4 of the season. He scored a natural hat trick of power play goals. God, it makes me feel so much better to remember that. And then they lost to the Leafs on Saturday. We'll talk about that later. Lucas Raymond scored his 5th of the year as well for the Red Wings. Like, he's ridiculous.
We missed an important point. After Bergeron got those 4 goals, he immediately whipped his cock out and began stroking it, as per Jumbo Joe said is practice. Sorry.
Oh my God, the infamous hurdle. How long, dude? That quote was from like 2013, wasn't it?
Dude, it was when Hurdle's 19. He's 26 now, or 25. Yeah.
my
Right?
God.
Oh my God.
Right? How time is
Oh no!
time doesn't matter. It's
Oh
insane.
God!
Time is a concept invented by the
Oh God! Endo's in his early to mid 20s. We'll say. I mean, you said it before. You're 23.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Oh
27.
my God, he was 15 essentially.
Yeah, I was a little 15. I was a little
Yeah.
fucking shit disturbed when I was 15.
He's like, fuck yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Like just the idea of just what even is time? Like we're not the oldest
Shit.
group of people in the world here, but God, we're old.
Fuck, I graduated 5 years ago.
Don't say that, because then I'll have to say 10, and then Sin will be like, well, it was this so long ago for me, and then someone, like, shout out to, like, Coco or Neely or some of the other boomers, like Deke Slayer or Crash Andrews will be like, it's kids, shut up. So,
Youth.
oh, God. Now, I was going to leave this a little bit later on, but I had just seen this as well. Shout out to Tuukka Rask, who was at Warrior Ice Arena, which is the Bruins practice facility. He was there today, working out on the ice. He's coming back, everybody,
back, yeah.
and it's gonna be great. The Bruins are gonna have 3, fantastic goaltenders. The only thing that scares me, of course, is that Linus Ullmark is signed for a couple years after this, so this might be Tuukka's last ride. But I still love him, regardless. And I love
Swayman might-
Patrice Bergeron.
Swayman probably has to be the odd man out. Get some more development time, huh?
Yeah,
How's he looked?
Yeah,
I
you'd
don't know his
presume
numbers.
so.
What is he looking like?
So last I knew, and here's the thing, I'll double check this because of the events of Saturday. Last I knew, Swayman was kind of rocking a 900 save percentage, which wasn't phenomenal. I mean, it was ridiculous though, because in here I'm still trying to bring up the stats. It was ridiculous though because in the games he got last year, he had such a high save percentage that even with that 900, he was still over like a career 930.
Wow.
It was stupid. He has, still a 900 save percentage in 4 games.
Okay.
But he had a 945 in the 10 games he played last year. Yeah. So, I mean, again, the guy's still 22 years old, right? So
Yeah, some
He'll be turning
development
23
wouldn't
this
hurt him,
month.
I don't think.
yeah, like you send him down to Providence, let him kind of hopefully carry like a Calder Cup run. Things would be looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Patrice Bergeron's the man. Also on Thursday, the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 in overtime. John Tavares scored his 4th goal of the year. William Nylander his 5th in the OT winner. I'd say though, even more so than the fact that like core and key Maple Leafs players are heating up. This game was kind of highlighted by Mitch Marner getting destroyed by Mikhail Sergachev. Like he got hooked by Hedman, and then Sergachev came in with a blindside hit that resulted in a 2-game suspension for him. I'm not surprised it was only 2 games, but it's getting to that point where it's like, hey, at least I hate to say at least they did something
That's where we're at.
because
Yeah.
yeah, like
Pretty
until the idea of mandatory minimums for head contact kind of chip in. At least there was something there. The Leafs end up winning the game as well. And I don't know if you recall anything too much from this past Thursday.
That game was so stupidly dramatic. You have no idea. We wait till the last 30 seconds to score a goal, and then Willie Stallis puts one in the back of the net. I'm supposed to be happy right now, but the fact that everything we do with this goddamn team is a damn it's a drama. Like we already filmed All or Nothing. We don't need to have everything be a spectacle. It is ridiculous.
All or nothing again.
The Buds are back for All or Nothing. All or Nothing.
God.
Just call it Mulligan. Just call it Mulligan.
So, God, Sin, unless you got anything else to add, I want to get into more of the craziness of Thursday.
I was going to talk about the hit a little bit.
Go for it.
Oh, yeah, go
for
ahead.
it.
It's a really bad hit,
Yep.
and I'm glad it was punished. I think part of the reason there's only 2 games is because the lack of injury, which is another thing that I want to touch on. Can we stop penalizing based on results or dishing out punishment based on results? Like that kind of defeats the whole purpose, in my opinion. This is supposed to the punishments that they'll out are supposed to be more preventative measures. I feel like that's how it should be. You're supposed to hey, don't fucking do this or you're gonna get suspended for 5 games. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just, it was a bad hit. I can't believe I saw people out there trying to rationalize it. Oh, he got shoulder. That was like the cleanest shoulder to face I've ever seen, and people were really trying to say he got shoulder. Anyway,
that's always the common defense, though, is everyone being like, well, he got shoulder. It's like, yeah, well, he also got a good part of Mitch Marner's skull.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
It's kind of the problem.
He just got
My opinion is, like, even if it's like, oh, shoulder contact first and then it goes up to the head, it's still head contact.
Yeah.
But I get that the rules are written as principal point of contact and shit like that, but I think we can all agree the way a lot of rules are written within the NHL are absurd.
because there's way too much interpretation. It's all like goalie interference. None of us still know what the fuck it is.
Oh, we'll be talking about that in a little bit
I
from
can't
the
wait.
Panthers-Hurricanes game. We'll be talking about
there's
that.
one thing I also love about
Yeah, I
that,
forgot
just to go on that for a real quick second. Toronto media talked about how Mitch Marner got brand new teeth that same day. And then he gets an elbow to the face. Everyone's like, oh no, his teeth. What do we here that
What about-
care about? His teeth or his sanity of his fucking brain?
His brain.
Yeah. You can go polish your pearly whites. Yeah, try coming back from a fucking concussion. Concussion. Thank you.
Why do you get teeth already? Like, I would just leave him out till the season's going. Be Burns, man. He's got to look good. See, that's the
Yeah.
problem with you.
He's got to look
the
good
Leafs,
for those intact insurance commercials he keeps filming in the offseason. He's got to look good.
Oh,
for
is
those.
that the new one?
Yeah, intact. It's
So
intact.
I
insurance.
always hear how absurd it is about certain Leafs players having these sponsorships. Is it really that crazy?
It's so stupid.
It is, huh? Yeah.
And they're like talking.
Like,
about it
I
on
mean, because the
Twitter
joke
and
used to be like, oh yeah, Sidney Crosby has bread commercials. And then it evolved into like every Leaf ever has some sort of ad spot. Like, here's Justin Hall for Hall's Fruit Breezers or some shit.
when we signed John Tavares, he was on a coconut like juice like commercial or whatever.
Like the day
fuck it
after?
was. Yeah, coconut milk. It was ridiculous. I'm like, when I think of coconut milk, I don't think of John Tavares, captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think of coconuts, not him.
Yeah, but you know, you got to refuel and rebuild. Chocolate coconut milk.
Chocolate coconut milk.
Yeah, you remember that
That
Parise?
sounds-
I think it was Zach Parise, his chocolate milk commercial.
Oh,
No?
Oh my God.
that's
Oh,
a
okay.
while ago.
No,
wasn't
I
it?
think was that Zach Parise?
Wasn't it?
I don't know anymore.
Fuck.
All right. Well, we want to hear from all of you that are listening. Your most absurd example of hockey player sponsorship. I want to know. What's the most ridiculous
Used
one?
car dealership.
I found
The
it.
thug hates bad prices.
So I found it. It's like Gatorade's 2 green, coconut water, 2 hipster, chocolate milk, hockey fuel. Because he partnered with milk. Just milk. He partnered with Big Dairy. Zach
Big
Parise, big dairy fan. Big dairy partnership. Let's go.
Oh God, the big dairy conspiracy's in. Also on Thursday, the New York Islanders beat the Habs 6-2. Because Jesus Christ. You know what's more absurd than Patrice Bergeron scoring 4 goals? The fact that Brock Nelson scored 4 goals too on the same goddamn day. Brock Nelson has 6 goals on the year to that point. Wallstrom scored his 5th that day. Dude, 2 players
Elite.
score, and we almost had 3. We'll talk about that. But 2 players on the same day, both scoring 4 goals in a game. It's ridiculous. Like, how does that happen?
That's insane.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
And one of them wasn't Ovechkin. And it's not 10 years
Right?
ago.
It was
Like, it's
Patrice
crazy.
Bergeron and Brock Nelson. It doesn't make sense. That's like a Crosby Ovechkin thing you'd expect to see from like 2010. Should note as well, because we're going to talk about them later too. Nick Suzuki, Tyler Toffoli each scored just their 2nd goals of the season. This was their 12th game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Suzuki and Toffoli have 2 goals at that point on the year.
And I just want to point out quietly that Wallstrom with that 5th goal is kind of making a storm. People almost started to give up on this guy. And I've been one of his biggest proponents that he could be an elite goal scorer. And, well, Habs fans, Caulfield's down in the AHL. Wallstrom has 5 on the year. How do you like me now? Never, ever going to stop tooting my own horn. Can't stop me.
A little bit of an age difference there, but I do
Yeah,
love,
but I
do
know
love me some
there's an age difference, but still, like 20, like was he 22?
22 or 23,
I
yeah.
hope he's 20. Yeah, I thought. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, 5 goals. he's looking good. I'm very happy for him. Good, get another American born in there, getting some stuff done.
Another game on Thursday night, and I'm excited for this one. The Vegas Golden Knights beat the Ottawa Senators 5-1. Jonathan Marchessault scored 2 goals in that game. He doubled up his total on the season. He has 4. But Brady Tkachuk scored his second of the season, and he was named the new team captain of the Sens. He is the 10th captain in Ottawa Senators history, which leads us back to one of my favorite segments. Can you name the captains? We'll come up with a better name eventually, but Sin and I did this before with the likes of the Columbus Blue Jackets and I believe the Nashville Predators. And now it is back. Endo is here to take part. Boys, the 10 captains in Sens team history. Obviously, you have the gimme of Brady Tkachuk, which we could talk about the Brady Tkachuk deal first and foremost, I guess, before we really get into this quiz. I mean, he's 22. He just signed that new extension. They kind of had no choice but to go all in, right? Like, you really have no choice. Like, his production might not be where you want it to be, but he's 22. You had to pay him. You might as well name him team captain. It's him or Thomas Chabot. And I guess the idea is Brady Tkachuk is our talented douchebag of a captain. Douchebag on ice, which could also be an episode title. I don't know if that passed the filters. I don't hate the decision. I don't.
I'm on the fence about it. It's just for the fact that he held out for so long. It's kind of awkward to name him captain immediately. Just because I
think that's fair.
I just kind of wonder what kind of precedent and example that sets for the organization. Like, yeah, it's just weird. I don't. It's not to like hate on him. Get your money, get your bag, do your thing. We know Ottawa's cheap as fuck. Look what they did to Stone. You know. Yeah, I don't. It just seems weird. Like I don't know. You always hear captain, you know, team friendly contracts, all that kind of stuff, or they win a couple cups and then get the 10 million. Like Taves, his leadership is obviously in question now. Anyway, but it's.
Yep.
I do like the kind of player Brady Tkachuk is. I do see that as a captain kind of player. He needs to work on his finishing. By God, glad he got his second. But yeah, it was just kind of interesting to me. I do think he has that sort of in him, but I would have waited a bit. I would have really waited a bit on him just because of the holdout thing. That's me personally, though.
I can't disagree.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about my rival. Fuck the Sens.
There you go. Well, you got to talk about him right now in the
it.
sense of the team captains, because again, Tkachuk was named captain. Tkachuk was named captain. He's their first captain after 3 seasons of having no captains. So, boys, the 9 other captains in Sens history. Who do you got?
I know one of them's Spezza for sure.
Correct. Only 1 season, by the way. Did Jason Spezza have the captaincy? Daniel Alfredsson was captain from 1999-2000 to 2012-2013. He was replaced by Spezza.
Yeah. Erik Karlsson, 4 seasons as team captain. So you have the 4 most recent in Tkachuk, Karlsson, Spezza, and Alfie, which means we're back to the 98-99 season already.
Yeah, good luck, boys. I got no fucking clue.
Was Alexei Yashin ever a captain?
Yes,
okay.
He was the captain in 98-99 for 1 season.
And before that,
holy shit, if you get any of these names.
Before that, Kriva Krapsov? I don't know. I'm just throwing out names
good
for that
attempt,
era.
Though. So, from 94 to 98, the captain of the team, and I'm going to try to give hints. I don't think player hints would help, but I mean, he played for the Penguins. He was a Whaler for a while.
Lol.
He moved into coaching, and let's see, he was an assistant coach with the Atlanta Thrashers. A mid-season, he was for half a season the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens from 2011 to 2012.
Oh God, he's
was
French.
not remembered prominently. Not French. He's from Etobicoke, Ontario.
That's why he was there for half a season.
Yeah, he cannot speak the language.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah. So for 4 seasons, the head coach of the Ottawa Senators, Randy Cunnyworth.
Wait, what? He was the captain?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know that
I don't know
name.
if I said coach, but yeah, he was the captain of the Sens for 4 seasons.
Yeah, I'm not
Which
going to know any of
brings
these
us
names.
So I
To
remember
our
watching
first-
the video. I remember watching. They had the thing where they showed all the captains. I think it was like Brad Shaw or something. He was a captain at one point.
You had to have looked that up. There's no
fuck you.
fucking way.
No, I saw the
So-
fucking video. I'll link it.
In 93-94, the Sens, and this is why they have 10 captains. In 93-94, 3 players wore the C for the Sens. One of which was Brad Shaw.
Yeah.
Which, again, I cannot fucking believe that. Brad Shaw, who went on to be an assistant coach for the St. Louis Blues for many, many years, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. He is currently an assistant coach with the Vancouver Canucks. So Brad Shaw is one of them. There are 3 other players who have worn the C for the Sens. There's just no way that you guys are going to get these.
Wade Redden? No, he was way after that time.
No.
He was after that. So the first is Gord Dineen, who,
I wasn't even watching hockey yet.
He's former GM, head coach of the Macon Whoopie of the ECHL.
What?
Former assistant coach of the Portland Pirates for 1 year, the Iowa Chops, the Toronto. He was with the Toronto Marlies for a really long time,
Yeah.
and even now is a Div 3 NCAA assistant coach as a volunteer for Hobart College.
What a name.
Hobart. I don't know what they are in terms of like their team name. Let's just call them the Badgers. Go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
The other 2, and the final one from that 93-94 season, is a former 4th-round pick of the Calgary Flames in 1982. Former Oiler, Flyer, Hab, Houston, Arrow, Calgary. Jesus Christ, he
Fucking
played for a lot of
journeyman.
people.
Jesus.
Right now, if you're a fan of the WHL, you might know who this is because since 2009, he has been the GM head coach of either the Swift Current Broncos or currently with the Prince George Cougars, Mark Lamb. So Gord Dineen, Brad Shaw, Mark Lamb all wore the C in 93-94.
That was their expansion year? No.
That was their second year.
Yeah, that's right.
The expansion captain. Former first-round pick, 9th overall of the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1979. Went on to play with the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, and the New Jersey Devils. Captained the Sens in his final season. Had 16 points in 70 games with 101 penalty
Jesus,
minutes.
He must have been a real leader for sure.
Oh,
That's when
Laurie
they had just-
Boschman.
Yeah. Oh,
Laurie Boschman,
I listened to like an
who
interview
we were
with
looking for.
with like the first coach of the Senators, and he was just talking about how horrible they were. And I remember that name now, but I couldn't fucking guess that. First of all, it's an
Didn't they fuck
Eastern
up the
Conference
draft?
team.
Didn't they fuck up their expansion draft or something like that? Or watching,
Oh, yeah, no, the Sens, I mean, they had horrible, horrible options and still completely botched that expansion draft, yeah. But fair play to Endo getting Brad Shaw. I mean, I feel like, obviously, like Alfie, Spezza, Carlson, those are the easy ones.
I got
After that,
Yashin.
to say Yashin,
Yeah.
that's a fairly tough one, I would say. I mean, because, again...
Used to
you
trade
think
for
of,
him
like,
in NHL 2000 all the time.
Yeah, I mean, good player, but was he the captain? For one season, he was. And then, yeah, like Cunneyworth, Dineen, Shaw, Lamb, and Boschman. Those are
None of
tough
those,
if you're
yeah.
not Sens fans. Those are very, very tough. So, hey.
That was in my my short-term memory because they released a video and it showed like every single captain for the Senators, and it ended with Brady at the end. So I kind of cheated in the sense that it was really new knowledge to me. And I linked the,
Still, to retain the name Brad Shaw is
Yeah.
impressive.
I mean,
So-
Shaw is the parent company of my phone provider, Freedom. So
There you go.
I just thought, Freedom, Shaw, Brad Shaw. Fuck, okay.
Brad Shaw.
Bradley Shaw.
It's Brad Shaw.
Yeehaw.
Aside from that, also on Thursday, we'll move on. That was fun. We'll have to do another team. What team do you want to see next? Let us know. As Endo sent us the tweet of the captain's thing, by the way, from November 5th. So, hey, you retained Brad Shaw's name for 3 days. That's fairly impressive.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Brad.
Just as long as he was relevant as a captain during that year. Oof.
There you go. The Florida Panthers beat the Washington Caps 5-4 in overtime on Thursday. Conor Mcmichael scored his first NHL goal, which is cool as hell. I've rated that kid highly for a few years now. But Ovi scored his 10th. He became the third player in NHL history to post 18-plus points in the first 10 games of a season, age 36 or older.
And I bet you most of those people haven't played in like
World
2
War
decades.
II veterans, probably.
I was just going to
well,
say.
no, it probably was Gretzky era, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been at least 2 decades since someone's done that. Probably 3.
God, this
or maybe
is ridiculous.
even 4
that
because we're in the 2020s and I still feel like we're not.
Right? Yeah, you want to be like, oh yeah, a decade ago,
oh,
2002. A decade ago was 2002.
Yeah.
We're old.
Yes.
Sorry.
Ovi scored on that goal, his 740th career goal. He is 2 behind Brett Hull to pass him for 4th on the all-time goal scoring list. Ridiculous.
He's getting that.
Just ridiculous. For the Panthers as well in that game, Sasha Barkov scored his 6th and 7th of the year. Aaron Ekblad has 4 goals already too, which is nuts. He's on a revenge tour and a half. It's one of the biggest what ifs in Florida Panthers history, I think, is what if Aaron Ekblad wasn't hurt last year when they took on Tampa, because as much as some Lightning fans might not want to admit it, and again, every team has injuries. You deal with what it is. It's not like it's an asterisk on the cup. The Florida Panthers with Aaron Ekblad very, very well could have won that opening round series against the Lightning. They could have.
Man, I wonder how Ekblad has gone through like so much injury trouble, man. I remember when he came in from Barrie and was drafted, like he was like so high. Like everyone was so high on this guy, and unfortunately injuries slowed him down, and people are like kind of forgetting about him, but you can't. Like also he's in Florida, so it's easy to forget about him. But yeah, he's so good. Like, and he's such a good two-way defenseman that I mean, he ain't going to put up 80 points, but man, can he drive an offense? He has a shot, and he's very, very, very good in his own end.
I mean, I think he nailed it there. The Penguins beat the Flyers 3-2 in overtime. No real notables from this game aside from the fact that the Penguins, despite injuries, COVID, all this other stuff, like they're 4-3-2. At least they were as of Thursday. Yeah. They just keep doing what they do. It's ridiculous. Dallas beat Calgary 4-3 in overtime on Thursday as well. Matthew Tkachuk, the highlight of this game, scores his 5th goal of the season and also gets fined $5,000 for high-sticking John Klingberg. The Matthew Tkachuk experience.
That's the most Matthew Tkachuk thing ever, man.
Oh my God. Like you could not ask for like a more stereotypical performance, for better and for worse, as it turns out.
Matthew Tkachuk hat trick. He's got to score, get fined, and
punch someone in the face. There you go.
And I mentioned earlier as well that there was a chance for 3 players to score 4 goals. It brings us to the Kraken-Sabres game. The Kraken did win 5-2. Jordan Eberle, short of 4, ends up with the first hat trick in Kraken history. He has 5 goals on the season. There was a reason why I bought a Jordan Eberle Kraken jersey.
He's going for it, man. Like he's having a nice little comeback.
I mean, in general, the Kraken have been a weird team, and we'll talk about a certain loss that they had coming up here. But, you see signs of positive like this, and then there's some negative that ends up there as well. For the Sabres, though, Tage Thompson, Kyle Okposo, both have 3 goals in the year. Shout out to Kyle Okposo. I'm not saying this to take shots, but I'm glad he's healthy and playing hockey at the moment, because that certainly didn't look like it would be the case heading into this year. I think a lot of people were saying that maybe he was LTIR bait sometime soon. So, dude, and Hayden Fleury, I don't know if you guys remember the specific play. He had this, like, sick defensive moment where there was someone, like, he's on the ice on his side, and facing his back was a player with the puck. Fleury, on the ice, has his stick over his, like, head and windshield wipers it, and knocks away a pass like out of midair.
I'll have to look at it.
Call it a fluke if you want, but it was a really sick play. Feel free to look up Hayden Fleury on Twitter to find that one.
I love some good-ass defensive play, so I'm definitely looking that one up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was awesome. In the final game, I hate to bring it up, Sin, on Thursday.
Needs to be done.
St. Louis Blues moved to 7-1-1 at that point. They beat the Sharks 5-3. Brandon Saad had 2 goals. Highlights for the Sharks. Brent Burns got his first. Logan Couture's 4th. And Nick Merkley, who, again, was kind of a tack on. Mm-hmm. Not related to Ryan Merkley, by the way. But Nick Merkley scored his first goal as a Shark.
Yeah, just a very, very chaotic game that was well within reach of the Sharks to win. And they it's it's not having their main roster starting to catch up to them. You're now playing these top of the line teams, the St. Louis Blues, who are gonna make you pay for mistakes, and a young, inexperienced, and thin roster is gonna make some mistakes. And it's just one of those games with Sharks. It was winnable, and you hate to drop those ones, especially not even getting a point out of it. But that just goes to show you, like, when you are only having two of your normal defensemen in the lineup, that's kind of what can happen there. But yeah, Adin Hill has last few outings have not been entirely great. So he's probably going to fall back into more of a 1B scenario for this season as he hopefully continues to develop, because he is kind of our best long-term option right now, besides Melnichuk and some of the other guys we got. But those, goalie prospects are so weird, you never know how they're going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, I think, too, we had some questions over the Blues, and they continue to do well.
Yeah,
I think is the best way to describe it at this point. We'll move on to Friday. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-1. Kyle Connor watch. 8 goals on the year now for Kyle Connor. I refuse to let him be underrated by anybody else anymore. I will mention Kyle Connor at every possible moment. He's unreal. And then we get into the underrated, overrated conversation.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Here we go. This is what everyone was waiting for. The Edmonton Oilers moved to 9-1 on the season. They beat the New York Rangers 6-5 in overtime. For the Rangers, Chris Kreider scored his 8th of the year. Ridiculous. Mika Zibanejad, similar story. He doubled his total, 2 goals. He now has 4 on the year. For the Oilers, let's see. Zach Hyman scored his 7th of the year, just to infuriate Endo, who's definitely not talking to his girlfriend right now. Jesse Puljujarvi scored his 4th and 5th of the year. He's on pace for 98 points, by the way. Leon Draisaitl scored his 10th of the year for an OT winner. Oilers power play dominant as ever. I think that's, we can breeze over that to get to the main meat and potatoes of this conversation. Reds Rebels asks, overreactions in the NHL after 10 games? That brings me to Conor McDavid's goal on Friday night, as he scored with 3 minutes left, his 8th of the season, in what has been deemed a goal of the year contender, if not the greatest goal of all time. Or you have someone like me who defines it as a great goal. Now, let me say this again to wrap up the talk about the Oilers. Look, they've won 9 out of 10 games of the season. That's the first time they've ever done that. They never won 9 out of 10 with Gretzky, Messier, but they've done it now. This goal for McDavid, I caught some flack on Twitter by saying I didn't know, or at least my initial reaction was that it wasn't this slam dunk goal of the year. The reason I say that is I'm streaming at the time, and all of a sudden chat blows up. Oh my God, this is an incredible goal. You got to see what Conor McDavid did. When people freak out that much about a Conor McDavid goal, I am legitimately expecting the best goal I've ever seen in my life. Because the bar is so high for an amazing Conor McDavid goal, because he is the best hockey player in the world. And in terms of freak NHL talents, yes, he is already in that conversation as maybe the best, in air quotes there, player of all time. Depends on your definition of stuff. Maybe the most talented, maybe not the best player. He's maybe the most talented. So I watch this goal, and the first thing I notice isn't so much that Conor McDavid went through 4 people, air quotes on that again. It's more so that 4 Rangers players fell asleep. The argument is always going to be, well, did they get caught because McDavid's acceleration is superhuman? It's a great goal. Am I too far towards the negative side? Maybe. Are some people who call it the best goal of all time being a little bit hyperbolic, perhaps? Or maybe it is. Maybe they're new and they've missed some of the great goals that have been scored over the years. Maybe it is the best goal they've ever seen. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? But my biggest takeaway from that play was that Kevin Rooney literally did nothing. I don't think that's due to the acceleration. So immediately for me, I'm like, well, he went through like 3 people tops. You had a poke check from the back. I don't know who it was from. One poke check that he was out of distance to get. So for me, it's more that Conor McDavid shredded Patrick Nemeth and Jacob Trouba. But it was almost an EASHL goal where Jacob Trouba poked the puck, but he poked it ahead and Conor McDavid was the one to get it. So maybe Easchel's realistic. Maybe that's why I didn't think this was the best goal I'd ever seen. I still don't know. It's a great goal. It is probably a goal of the year contender. I just don't know if it's a slam dunk. Like, again, the bar is so high for McDavid. I talked about the crazy Mitch Marner goal from the last show against Vegas that I was stunned by. Like, that was a crazy goal. And maybe it's because, again, expectations for Marner, McDavid. I don't know, man. Your takes on this goal, because Sin called me a Debbie Downer in response, and you might not be wrong.
That was kind of funny.
You might not be wrong. I don't know. It's just, it's a great goal. I don't feel like I'm trying to be contrarian. I just didn't see it. My initial reaction wasn't holy shit. Like, I didn't jump out of my chair like other people were. I don't know.
Yeah, I got to disagree with you a little bit. I won't go ahead and say a greatest goal scored of all time, because that stuff needs to stop getting thrown around like that. In the same, it's starting to become like generational talent where we're throwing it around too much and it's starting to lose its meaning. Relax on that. It's a phenomenal goal. And it has to be a goal of the year candidate for the sole purpose of, I will sort of, say that as someone who appreciates defense, as a defensive player, maybe they could have done more, such as play the body. But the fact is, McDavid is so fast and so slippery that if you try to put a body on him, you could kind of end up doing more harm than good at times. What they did was try to collapse around him and limit his time and space, which is sometimes the better option, while trying to stick check him. The fact is, two people, I mean, you mentioned the poke that Trouba got on the puck. There were two more that hit his stick as well, that he's able to kind of shrug off with his quick hands, the way he just will lift his stick, get back in the puck, lift his stick again, his hands are just so quick. Combine that with always moving his feet. That's why I think it's one of the better goals, because it's like, yeah, they look like they're standing around, but I also think that's part of what McDavid brings to the table, is that he does things so quick. And also, let's be honest, who the fuck is expecting him to go take on 4 Rangers all by himself, like, out of nowhere? I think he even took them by surprise, which could kind of, have led to some of their, I don't know, indecision to play the body or try to, hit him or something like that. But the fact is, in my opinion, it's still incredible. His reaction afterwards also said he didn't know he was going to score, which to me is even more hilarious, that he still was like, he's like, yeah, I got the puck. Oh, there's 4 guys over there. Yeah, I'm going to try to go through them all and put the puck in the back of the net. And to me, that's like the most insane part about him, is that he doesn't, like, his mind doesn't work the same as ours. I look forward, I see 4 white jerseys. I'm like, all right, let's, I don't know, wait for some support, dump and chase something. But he's just like, I'm going to do it. Like, it's almost like it's a second nature thing. He just does it, and he'll figure out when he gets there, and he's got the hands, he's got the speed, he's got the raw talent to do it. And I said it in a quote tweet. I'm like, we may very well be watching the most talented hockey player to ever lace up. And I really think we are. It's obviously different from best player alive. I think the most raw talent and pure skill out there is Connor McDavid. It's just absolutely insane. So, yeah, I think it's a goal of the year contender. There's a lot of hockey left to play, so I'm not going to say pack it in goal of the year immediately. Like, we've seen some great ones already. We're still very early, but yeah, that to me was just absolutely insane. And as a defensive player, I think part of the reason you look like you're doing nothing is just because he's that good.
Endo.
Yeah, I think you need to get your prescription checked, because that was a pretty good goal.
See, I was nice
the
about
fucking
it.
Century. Goal the century? No. One of the best goals of the season? Yeah, but it's been like, what, 10, 12 games? Not really anything extreme. That's a goal that you only see, like, certain players get. Connor McDavid, maybe Kucherov, maybe even McKinnon. But, like, that right there is a patented Connor McDavid moment. It may not go down as the goal of the year, but it's going to go down as one of his, if not already, top goals. Because he's just a human highlight reel. And I don't think it's the greatest goal ever scored, but I do think it's a very good goal.
Yeah, I think.
And now everyone go ratio Tougie some more.
Yeah, let's
right,
go.
pretty much. I mean, again, it's one of those things where my expectations for McDavid are maybe.
Yeah, and I kind of get that. For me, I saw the video immediately. I didn't get
Yeah,
hyped
like,
up by Twitch, so you came into it with a different perspective, and I can kind of understand that.
Like, I get the idea of, like, probably only Conor McDavid could score that particular goal the way he did, right? Like, the confidence to be like, I'm fucking going for it, and the speed and the hands to pull it off. Like I said, though, it's like, it was almost overhyped to me, and instead of had I just been watching the game and seen it in real time. So I do think that kind of skewed my my opinion there a little bit.
Just goes to show you guys,
so.
Don't listen to Twitch chat. They're fucking morons. No.
Don't read chat. Don't listen to chat. Okay, I just looked it over right now because I was curious. So when he re-enters the zone, he catches Jacob Trouba off foot, like completely, like, because he tries to go forward and he sees it coming in, and he gets caught like flat-footed. Sorry, and then poke comes in from the top guy on the right. Don't know who that is yet. Goes through. The one thing that McDavid does, and that a lot of kids are learning now when you stick handle, is that when you don't have to only control the puck, you can fuck around with Buddy's stick and send that stick flying if you really want to. That's one thing that I watched a lot of Pavel Barb, and that's a really good example for someone who's like a master at stick handling and puck possession. He coaches that when you use your stick handling, you can use your stick to deflect the stick other way and stuff like that. And he does that a lot in some of his moves. I think over here he deflects the last defenseman's stick out of the way. Yeah, because he gets caught and he lifts it up and goes over.
That's what I was talking about. He's always constantly like just flicking his wrists up to almost like keep the puck moving, but like also to avoid the stick checks or like you said, deflect them. Like it's like parrying in fucking For Honor.
Exactly. So like he keeps it like halfway. It's kind of like halfway above the ice and halfway on the ice. So that way he's versatile in both manners. So if a guy tries to come in, he can easily just move their stick out of the way and then maybe like uses angling on his skates to like angle himself away with the puck as well.
I guess just the way I view it, 4-on-1, by definition, it's god-awful defense to allow a goal in that situation.
Well,
I get that it takes Conor McDavid doing what he did to have it result in a goal. It's both. It's a great McDavid goal, but it is also horrific defense.
Oh yeah.
And my brain immediately went to holy hell. Like, perfect example. If Endo and I are on defense and randomly Sin's playing forward in Isho for some reason, Sin's the one forward up the ice, us other four are back. I put up 3 fingers for a second. If us other 4 are back and we allow that goal, Sin turns off his Xbox and goes home because of bad defense. Tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, yes. However, but that's also video. I don't know. Yeah, I can see that perspective, but at the same time, yes, if a goal is scored on a 4-on-1 situation, that's usually bad defense, but I'll put an asterisk. However, if Conor McDavid is involved, you might have also just seen something special. So I do think there's a possibility of the combination, but I don't think anyone's scoring that goal. I think only Conor McDavid scoring that goal. Maybe McKinnon, but even then, I don't think he's got the same hands that McDavid does.
Yeah. Okay, I just looked back over. I was trying to figure out who number 7 or 17 was. Kevin Rooney was 2 inches away from Conor McDavid going through the ice. He was the guy on the right-hand side, like right on the top right. If he gave a single poke check or an effort, the whole play could have been done.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to blame Kevin Rooney.
I agree.
There you go. Because once I look it down, like if you look at it from like a glance, it's like, oh sweet, Conor McDavid goal. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I think look it down. One guy got caught flat-footed. That's on him. But your man is on the ice. Is that on him though? Is it on him?
If you're positioning 4-on-1 and McDavid on a split-second decision decides to come at you in full speed, that's not just on you for getting caught flat-footed. You're getting caught flat-footed because of the speed and the acceleration of someone cutting into the zone like that and trying to split 4 guys. So okay. So Kevin Rooney, he fucks up. He doesn't do anything. Again, you still beat 3 guys. Yeah. You can't blame it on Kevin Rooney when 3 other guys are there. So we can't say in one breath, oh, it's shitty defense, but then, you got to blame one guy.
I blame Kevin Rooney because of how close he was to Connor.
Right.
Like
but I will say none of them bodied him.
Yeah, none of them.
Right. Okay. So my final point on this, right, is that it takes someone like Conor McDavid, best player in the world, to pull that off. But you can also look at the defense, and that's what I tend to focus on and say, okay, yes, part of it is you didn't get him, because it's Conor McDavid, but the other part of it is, for the love of God, somebody chop him down, slash him, take a penalty, do anything other than what they did, essentially. It's a great goal. Is it a goal of the year contender? I think I've softened my stance. It is a goal of the year contender. Will it win goal of the year for a lot of people? Yes. Jury's still out for me. We'll see. It's fucking 10 games in.
I think in the playoffs they hack at him and then they don't get called. I think that goal doesn't happen in the playoffs because the way they don't call the rule book.
Dude, as it is, the standard of officiating, I saw this. I don't have the chart in front of me. As it is already, remember how hyper-vigilant referees were at the start of the season?
Dropping, yeah.
It's already nosedived in terms of how they're calling slashing and cross-checking and shit like that. We'll move on because again, this you see what this conversation
could go back and
is.
forth forever on this. I know.
I will say, the idea that this goal can be debated this heavily does make it a great goal, bare minimum. Like bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can converse as to whether or not, is it a great goal? Is it a goal of the year? Is it an all-timer? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I literally.
If we're dissecting something frame by frame, it's pretty fucking special.
Fair enough. Also, on Friday, Nashville beat Vancouver 3-2. Matt Duchene shockingly playing good hockey this year, quietly. Like nobody.
Yeah, 5 goals.
Nobody's rating Nashville all that highly right now, so I'm not going to say nobody cares. But they're 6-5, at least they were as of this game, and Matt Duchene's been good, been very good. And for Vancouver, Brock Besser scored his third of the year, sending UC Saros' Jock to the stratosphere. On an in-tight goal. You want to talk about bad defense? No one was covering Brock Besser on that play, so maybe there's that example. And Nils Höglander scored his first of the year. He's been a little bit quiet in the goal-scoring category, but he's woken up. Tomasino for Nashville, by the way, has 3. I'm already kind of a little bit down on being like, hey, the rookie race, because let's be honest, it's the 2 Detroit rookies and everybody else.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about them again in a minute. The Ducks beat Arizona 3-1. That at the time pushed Arizona to 0-10-1 on the season. Ghost Bears played really good so far this season, to be honest, especially for literally nothing that the Coyotes had to give up to get him. And Adam Henrique has 5 goals for the Ducks this year after being put on waivers last year because of how bad his contract is viewed. But good for him to be playing some decent hockey. And to wrap up Friday, Kings beat the Devils 3-2 in overtime. Zacha has 5 goals because... okay. Kempe and Kalievic scored 3. Iafallo has 5 goals on the season now as well. So, again, the Kings getting some goal scoring because, of course, they are.
Yep.
And it moves us to Saturday. Kind of breezed through Friday because there was more to talk about from Saturday. Tampa beat Ottawa 5-3. Brady Tkachuk scored his 3rd goal of the year in that. Steven Stamkos, I think, quietly has 6 goals. I mean, I feel like people are just tired about hyping up Tampa at this point. But then we get to the other big conversation because the McDavid conversation wasn't enough. The Florida Panthers moved to 10-1 on the season by beating the Carolina Hurricanes, giving them their first loss of the season. They're down to 9-1-0. It was a 5-2 victory for the Cats. The Hurricanes had not given up more than 3 goals in a game. They gave up 4 goals in the first period alone to the Panthers. We'll talk about the big moment in a second because it did happen in the first. But to talk about the rest of the game really quickly, Jesper Fast for Carolina has 5 goals. Like, okay. And then Duclair scored his 7th and 8th of the season.
God, I wanted the Sharks to pick him up. Fuck.
Anthony Duclair has been great for the Florida Panthers.
Yeah. He's on a dirt cheap deal, too.
Pretty much, yeah. The big moment of the game came in the first period as Ryan Lomberg was assessed, I do believe, a match penalty. I might be getting the wording wrong there, but essentially penalized for the fact that he is in a foot race with a Panthers player. Antti Raanta comes sprinting out of the goal to play the puck, and Lomberg ultimately, yes, does end up having, contact with the head of Antti Raanta, who gets hurt on the play. My opinion of this has not changed. Whereas the McDavid goal, yes, I've softened my stance a little bit. Again, I never called, I still can't help but say it, but the McDavid goal, I never said it was a bad goal. Just that my focus is where elsewhere. This, though, I still have the same opinion. This is Antti Ranta's fault.
Yeah.
Ryan Lomberg, and I don't know who the who the Hurricanes player was that he was in a foot race with. They're going for the puck. They're shoulder to shoulder. Lomberg wins the race to the puck. What is he supposed to do? Because again, Sin talks about really and I'm trying to think of the right word here. I'm going to go with ambiguity of the rules. Ranta is charging towards the puck. Is Ryan Lomberg supposed to give up on the play because the goalie's coming out? No, that's not in the rules. At least not that I know of. Ranta, though, as a left-hander, comes out, drops down to a knee to try and get enough behind the attempt to chip the puck towards the boards. There we go, if not the glass. I fail to see how this is Ryan Lomberg's fault. You could even tell at the end he tried to get out of the way. He won the race to the puck. He beat Ranta to the puck. If anything, he poke-checked it into Ranta's stick. I'm sorry, Ryan Lomberg did absolutely nothing wrong here, and I'm not saying goalies are fair game to steam train, but man, after what happened with Lucic and Miller almost a decade ago, you still haven't clarified this. I don't have an issue whatsoever with what Ryan Lomberg did.
No, and what Lucic and Miller happened, that was completely different. That was man on goalie, and Miller had already gotten the puck way the fuck out. It wasn't that they were colliding and the puck was being played at the same time. Lomberg, again, he doesn't have to slow up. He's got the same rights to attack the game and attack the puck as everyone else does in that situation. If the goalie wants to, come out and do that, that's got to be the risk you take. You can't come out there thinking that you're fucking invulnerable out there or all protected, because collisions happen in hockey. That's the nature of the game. And unfortunately, Lomberg actually trying to get out of the way probably made it worse than it was and made the head contact even more direct, which again sucked, and it kind of demonizes him. He did the right thing in every single sense of the play. He fought hard. He skated hard for the puck. He won the battle. He tried to avoid the contact, but unfortunately, that's what actually made it worse. I don't think DLPS has looked at it at all. I hope not. They were,
as far as I know, it was just like
the 5 in the game,
the penalty that was involved, and that was it.
Okay, but now I question, what is the point of the reviews? Because if I'm a ref and I'm looking at that and I'm reviewing, if I'm going to review the 5-minute major, I'm like, this isn't really his fault. This wasn't intentional. And he wasn't even, it's different than a player, because if you don't intend to hit someone in the head, but you hit him in the head, it's still head check. But this is not that. It's a goaltender. So again, you mentioned it. A lot of gray area when it comes to the rules in this case. But I'm with you. I don't think Lomberg did anything wrong. Maybe having him taken out of the game is a good way to keep it under control. As you mentioned, the score being what it was, the Hurricanes being, pissed about, no longer going to be undefeated and whatnot. And someone takes out your goalie, that guy's going to have a target on his back the rest of the game. You want to keep it under control. I can get it from that point. But Lomberg didn't do anything wrong right there. And Antti Ranta, it's unfortunate, but he literally put himself in that position. That's the definition of putting yourself in a vulnerable position.
It's essentially, and Endo, I'll turn it to you in a second here, but it's essentially the idea of, the player has to back out of the play, but the goalie doesn't.
That's a dangerous precedent to set in hockey.
Yeah, I completely agree. Endo, your thoughts on this?
So, I was taught that your crease is where you are. That's your home. Treat your home as you will. Protect your home.
You're too good for your home?
Yeah. Basically. So anytime you leave that crease for that net area, it is fair game. It is completely, you are putting yourself vulnerable and out there. I think it's funny to say this, but the play that made me want to become a goalie was when Dominic Hasek charged that. I don't remember who it was, but he just completely charged at a player and flipped them over. Yeah. That was the play I was like, I'm going to be a goalie because I want to do that. And then I started playing position. I'm like, shit, if I do that, I could die.
Yeah.
Another thing too is their goalie coach, Jason Mazzotti, he needs to calm down his goalies. This is the second goaltender from the organization who's gone out of the net and got into an injury. First one was Mrazek. Now it's Ranta. Like, what are you doing? What are you teaching these guys? Oh, just play it old school.
I don't get the idea too of, I mean, I'm going to presume obviously it was Ranta's decision in the moment, but even for Antti Raanta, it's like, you have a history of injuries.
Yeah.
And you decided to risk it on that play.
Yeah.
When and I get it, it's a really fast game. Hindsight's 2020. But, it didn't look like his player was going to lose the foot race to the puck. Like, you talk about risk reward. It's just, what was the reward? And was the reward of successfully knocking it away that much worse or, that much better or worth it?
He had a body
presuming your player loses the foot race to the puck.
Yeah, even if he does, you have a body there. It's not going to be one-on-one with the goaltender. You had a guy, and he had inside position. Your defender had inside position. He could feasibly keep that shooter to the outside. It didn't make logical sense. But I will say, if we are kind of done making points about the play itself, gentlemen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I just want to shout out
think
Brindamore for saying, he's probably got a concussion. I want people to talk about concussions. I want coach to say in situations, yes, concussion. Because we always have said upper body injury, and we're still got this air of mystery. My team is one of the worst about keeping these injuries all private, never talking about concussions and shit like that. And it needs to be said. And I don't, it's not that it was the fault of Lomberg, and not that I think he should feel bad. It's just, we need to talk about concussions because it's a game that we're trying to get rid of it. And in this situation, it's not necessarily on Lomberg, but it's to maybe discourage fucking goaltenders from doing that. It's, again, risk reward, man. That wasn't nearly worth it.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have two players, one from each side, barreling towards the puck, and it's just, it was a bad decision made by Raanta with very unfortunate results. Again, obviously, we're hoping he's okay, and if he is hurt, that he's back soon. But I don't know. I do blame the NHL in part because of how lax the rules are and how they're written in regards to plays like this that we've seen happen a couple of times now. And I think, again, you leave too much up to interpretation, stuff like this can ultimately happen. A couple other talking points that we have here from the weekend as well. The Islanders beat the Jets 2-0. Ilya Sorokin has another shutout, which is ridiculous. I think that's 3 or 4 on the season already. Brock Nelson scored again in that game for his 7th. Anders Lee only has 2 goals. He's been a little bit, at least in terms of the goal scoring department, he's been a little bit slow coming back from a season-ending injury last year, talking about, hey, what could have been different if teams were healthy? What might the Islanders have been able to do? The Detroit Red Wings beat the Buffalo Sabres 4-3 in overtime, highlighted by Tyler Bertuzzi, 7th and 8th goals on the year.
God damn it.
Again, easy way to get people to forget about questionable decisions, we'll say. And Moritz Seider scored his first NHL goal. It was the OT winner in that particular game. Like I said, in terms of the rookie race, it's Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider and then everybody else.
Yeah. I don't know if you put it in there. I did want to talk about a couple other rookies. Is now a good time, or should we table that for
No, go ahead.
Okay. Since we were on the subject of Detroit, obviously, Moritz Seider and Jesus Christ.
If
Lucas
you're going
Raymond.
towards a certain Shark rookie, I do have that marked down for later.
No, it is not. I want to talk about the Rangers, and I want to talk about Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere. What is going on? What, 5 points between them? 4 points between the two of them? It's not
let me
good.
get an official number for you there.
And I think that they're both in the same draft years as Raymond and Seider. Again, you can always say hindsight 2020, but here's the thing that I don't understand.
It's for the record, sorry to cut you off. Kako, no points in 8 games. Lafreniere with 4 points in 12.
Good Lord. Like, I remember Kako being hyped up to all hell, and I don't think he's spent. I think they just kept playing him NHL, right? He never went back to Europe. He never did AHL stuff. And
correct.
I don't.
He didn't even play last year in Finland. From the looks of it, he didn't split time, at least according to Cap Friendly. I
don't know how it happens, but if like all these, like Capo was pretty hyped up. Lafreniere, he was, huge pick, this number 1 guy, and
the guy.
Yeah. And
As much as people now are saying, like, oh, well, no, like Shane Wright and Connor Bedard are the guys. Like, let's be honest here. Lafreniere was being hyped up as
I heard Crosby
a
comparisons.
future.
I heard Crosby comparisons because he's coming out of the queue. Like,
It's true.
he's not doing anything. And I wonder if it's partially in part with the Rangers organization. They seem to have this really, really bad track record of sucking the confidence and the performances out of some of their younger guys. And these two are the biggest ones. But I mean, I remember Kravtsov for a while was looked at going to be, this really, big.
Two goals for Vitaly Kravtsov in his first game back in the KHL, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So again, like, what is it about the Rangers organization that just seems to sap the skill out of these guys, out of these younger guys? And I don't know what it is. And if they're not utilizing them properly, if they're not giving them the kind of confidence. But honestly, with Kakko, I think they developed him incredibly poorly. And, you can look to, I guess, another person who people said shouldn't be sent back. But I'm saying, yes, you send him back, because look what can happen if you try to rush a player along. And maybe they're not quite ready. And Kaapo Kakko, I think, just has zero confidence right now. And yeah,
Maybe
I'm pretty sure I think he's been good defensively, but obviously, like,
he's what, second overall?
Don't look for him, second overall to be this defensive stalwart. Like, you look,
have a good two-way game, but we need points. Like, yeah.
This is his third season. He has 40 points in 122 games. Minus 25. Now, again, plus minus isn't great, but if you're a minus 25 in 122 games, that is an indicator that you're struggling and are likely on a bad team as well. So I don't disagree, because, I mean, you look at the younger players on the Rangers, like when Mika Zibanejad was acquired, I mean, he's 28 now. Mm-hmm. He wasn't, they didn't necessarily have to directly develop him.
Yeah,
as a talent.
Already on track.
So, you're looking, I mean, like Philip Hedl as well, like he has 3 points in 12 games this year. He's 22, so I mean, you could put him in the same category as a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you look at Adam Fox as the exception to the rule, but it's like, okay, well, Adam Fox didn't get rushed to the NHL.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he spent, 2 years at Harvard? 3 years at Harvard? I mean, he had time to season in the NCAA for a while. It's worth the question. I agree, because, hey, how far are the New York Rangers going to go if Kaapo Kakko and Alexis Lafreniere can't really find that high-level game? I mean, hey, they're both 20 years old. It's not a ship is sinking situation yet, but it's a little bit concerning, because, I mean, as everyone kind of knows, like when they won the lottery to get Lafreniere number 1 overall, people were laughing like, "Oh my God, this team, they didn't even need it. Now they're over the top." Yep. And yeah, they're still young, but we also see players that are in that age group that have figured it out a little bit faster.
Yeah, and it's also
tough. Down to the players? Is that down to the team?
Yeah, like the bright lights in New York is so much media presence as well. Like that's intimidating to kind of come into, especially. I mean, Lafreniere probably a bit more used to it coming out of the Quebec side of things, but for Kaapo Kakko, I mean, God damn, I just remember his first one. Hello, wow. I love this city. Like he looks so uncomfortable in front of the camera. I can't imagine what that kind of hype and that kind of pressure on him. And without the results to back it up, I feel bad for him. And I just don't think he was put on the proper development track to succeed. Yeah. I think they rushed him along, and yeah.
So for Lafreniere, right, like I'm looking at the 2020 draft class stats for this year. Lafreniere is 5th in points.
Yeah.
With Jamie Drysdale of Anaheim, who is a defenseman. Mm-hmm. Ahead of Lafreniere in terms of points right now, Tim Stützle, Dawson Mercer on New Jersey, Anton Lundell, and Lucas Raymond.
Yeah.
Like, even if you go off of points per game, like Lafreniere's 6th. He has a points per game total that matches Yegor Chinnikov. And remember, Chinnikov in that draft, people were like, who the hell is Yegor Chinnikov?
Yeah,
and he has the same point per game. Granted, we're only like 10 games into the season. Chinnikov's played less than 10 games.
Oh my God.
But that's where we're at. And if you want to look as well at Kaapo Kakko, there are 25 players from the 2019 draft that have played at least a game this season. Obviously, Kakko has no points. Obviously, Jack Hughes only played 2 games and had 3 points in that time. But, dude, even Bowen Byram, I know he's on Colorado, but he's the defenseman that has 8 points in 10 games.
Yeah, that's the
Moritz Seider has 10 points in 13 games. Artur Kaliev, who slipped to the second round, if I'm not mistaken, on the Kings, has 5 points in 10 games. He's on the Kings. What's wrong? I agree. It's worth pointing out.
I was just going to bring that up. It's like, it's not like the Rangers are suffering for talent. It's not like they have, not a lot of offensive talent on their roster. They got Adam Fox. They got Mika Zibanejad. They have Artemi Panarin. I mean, and Chris Kreider's looking good again. It's like, it's not like this. This was hailed as, they're going to start being a contender. That's the kind of skill level that they're starting to bring. They have an incredible, dare I say, on the verge of being an elite goaltender. If he's not already there, they need those young guys to produce. This is the time where you want to be capitalizing on those ELC years and start to load up. And if that's just kind of crazy, I think the one person on that first list you listed, goddamn, who has maybe a more talented roster is Lundell. And that's the only one I could say without a shadow of a doubt is on a more talented roster than Lafreniere's. I don't get it. It's bizarre. And it's just, I saw that stat, like 4 points combined between them and like 20 something between Seider and Raymond. Good God.
Yeah.
I think the one issue with Laugh was because of the pandemic. They couldn't send. I didn't think they had an issue where they couldn't send him down. They didn't want to send him down, so they brought him up for the year. And like he played decent in the first year. It took a while to get ready, but now he's just. I don't want to say he's off of a cliff, but just I think it's just the city and the everything and the pressure maybe might be getting to them. I mean, like you even said, Capo Kakko stood there as like, wow, I like it here. It's this big city and like all that.
He's Russian now.
Yeah. No, he was like, wow, it's a very big city.
Yeah, he was poor guy.
It's so bad. Everyone was just like, blink twice if you're not being held hostage.
So with that, a fair point in terms of other talking points as well, because there's enough out there. The Leafs beat the Bruins 5-2 on Saturday. It was actually, I do believe, Sheldon Keefe's first ever game that he coached against the Bruins as head coach of the Leafs because of how crazy the world's been.
What?
And he gets a win there. Yeah.
No.
The last time the Leafs played the Bruins, but I believe Mike Babcock was still the head coach.
Are you serious? Oh yeah, that would have been right because because
they played the Blue Jackets in the playoffs, then they missed the playoffs, or there's the North Division stuff. It's
that's
technically
weird.
they missed the playoffs with losing to the
really
Blue Jackets. Weird. Yeah. So Hall and Pasta each scored their third goal of the year. But the story of this is that the Leafs are the key players are heating up.
Yeah.
Right. Like Tavares scored his 5th and 6th on the year. Matthews his 4th and 5th. Marner got his 3rd. Mitch Marner has 11 points in his last 5 games. He had 1 point in his first
11, you
7.
say?
Yeah.
Shut up, Sin.
11
Shut
million,
up.
sorry.
So the Leafs
Marner.
are really heating up, at least the Stars are. The downside being that Peter Mrazek's out for a month with a groin injury.
Yeah.
Endo, your thoughts on, I guess, the Leafs after Saturday? I mean, obviously, anytime they beat the Bruins, it's cause for celebration for that fan base.
About time. Let's get to the playoffs. That's basically going to be it. I'm glad that they're finally gelling and working as a team. That was one of the biggest issues that I saw is that you'd have Austin out there basically working his ass off, getting pissed off that the team's not really doing anything. And you have Willie cleaning up the mess. And it would be just him, Willie. It'll be Austin, Willie, and what's his fucking name? The captain. No. Spencer too. Fuck, I even forget about fucking Jaden Spencer. The most underpaid player on that team right now is Jason Spezza. He has put up more effort, more contribution to that team than what everyone else has done so far. I'm just glad that they're working together. Jack Campbell needs a fucking steak. He needs to be treated the hell on a pedestal because he's doing fucking amazing. I hope to God the fan base and the media does not run him out of town because that is a great overall teammate and person to have in the locker room and on the ice.
I will point out one thing that worries me about Toronto. I'm glad that the Stars are heating up. Matthews, Nylander getting me tons and tons of fantasy points. But You, at the beginning of the season, your depth is scoring. Your depth is doing the thing. Now at this point, your stars are scoring. When will both the depth and your top six be able to produce and contribute at the same time? Because it seems to almost go in waves.
Yep.
And that's, I think, comes with some of your playoff kind of faltering. It's that they both can't get going at the same time. They can both be bad at the same time, but I've never seen it where the depth and the top players on the Leafs are contributing and at the same time and pulling in the same way. I don't know. Is that just, some recency bias or I don't know. I just feel like I've never seen that, like, with the Leafs, not all of the kind of wheels turning at the same time.
Yeah, it's a big issue that they have to fix. That's why I said I'm not going to hold them into a high regard until we get to the playoffs, until we get after the first round. Then maybe I'll start tooting this horn a little bit more.
Yep. But
until then, I'm tired of disappointment. I'm tired of being let down. And I already said on this podcast that if they do not get out of the first round, I'm not going to be a Leaf fan.
Also on Saturday, the Golden Knights beat the Habs 5-2. This was a game where Montreal outshot Vegas 20-1 in the first period, and they ended up losing 5-2.
Lol, Habs.
Holy hell! I mean, what can you even say to that?
Meme.
I mean,
complete meme team,
again,
man.
Yeah.
Dude. So, okay. So for Vegas, like Marchessault, Stevenson each have 5 goals on the year. Now it's good. Suzuki and Toffoli both scored in this game as well. They now have 3 on the year. I believe this was the game as well where Mike Hoffman smashed his stick after an empty netter. It might have been the other game, and then he got body checked by the M boards. That was not Mike Hoffman's finest moment. The only thing for the Habs, right, is that Carey Price is coming back. I think he officially returned to the team today. But, my God, so here's the thing. If this team makes the playoffs, it is 100% on Carey Price this time out.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. There have been other times where people have said the team is trash and it's all Carey Price. And then you look at some of the numbers and you're like, okay, that's just, you're trying to boost Carey up a little bit too much and not giving this team enough credit.
Yeah.
Well, you got it when he's making $10.5 million.
It is very clear that this team at 3-10 is just not clicking.
Yeah.
If they can turn this around, it's Carey Price that's done it. I mean, unless again, Carey ends up with a 905 save percentage, but then the team figures it out. But I mean, Dom Ducharme hasn't been the head coach for very long. Marc Bergevin as well. I mean, he's been around for a long time. What gives? What gives? Because the Habs, few months removed from a Stanley Cup Finals appearance, they're 3-10. Carey Price doesn't have a very strong rest of November. Makes you wonder if Ducharme and even Marc Bergevin are around by the time the calendar hits 2022.
This is why you do not rush the rebuild. I feel like they did that, and it's not working. It's really not working.
Yeah,
And
I think the North Division was probably the biggest opportunity for a franchise to get that cusp of getting to the Cup because of how everything went with COVID and everything, and how a Canadian team hasn't really been to the final in how many years, or let alone won one since fucking before I was even born. Sorry to age you guys a little bit.
Well, no, I mean, the Habs have never won a Stanley Cup in my lifetime.
I was
either,
2, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
Right, it was 92, right?
93.
I was 3. Fine.
There you go.
I could talk.
I've actually talked to some Habs fans after a skate on Saturday, live reacting to the game because we're just chilling in the park, drinking some beer, and they were just we're done. We can't. What do? We get Carey Price back. Send them back. We don't want him. Just tank. Let's just whatever. It's over. It's done. And it's November. You guys are worse than Leaf fans freaking out saying the end is nigh. Myself, about the situation that we were in last week when we couldn't win a game and Mark producing and 11 million was going to drain and yada yada yada. I think that if Price does come back, well, he is coming back now. It's either going to be a really rocky road for him, and they were mostly talking about his legacy and his overall and his numbers. I'm you either feel bad for him, feel bad for Marc-Andre, who's getting absolutely just hounded in Chicago. Poor guy. It's a cool helmet, but
Honestly, I don't. What's the timeline on Price though? Because I can't imagine that he was really in hockey shape for the last bit of time as he went into the player assistance thing. I still think it's probably going to take him some time to start being inserted into the lineup, right?
You would think, and hopefully he doesn't get pressured to step right back in.
Yeah.
But that
that makes
could be
it
the
worse.
case.
That makes
I
it
mean,
worse.
it'll be interesting to see how that whole situation's handled. To wrap up Saturday, well, actually, God, we still have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
here.
God, yeah.
We'll try to breeze through some of the less important stuff. Minnesota beat Pittsburgh 5-4 in a shootout. Kasperi Kapanen had a hat trick
Yay.
for his first 3 goals of the year, and they still lost.
Yay.
The Flyers beat the Caps. Sean Couturier's 5th goal of the year was the game winner. Anthony Mantha ends up having shoulder surgery. Man,
Funk
Sin and I
soul,
really can't
brother.
talk today. Dude, so Mantha's out, Verana's out. The trade looked like it was working out for both Detroit and Washington, but my God, neither guy can
Yeah.
stay healthy right now. It's
So
it's very
unfortunate.
sad.
Yeah, I had to drop Mantha. That was sucked. I just came out of nowhere. It seemed like he was doing so good, and then all of a sudden, that just sucks. Like really, for both of these teams, man. Like that was one of the more even trades with the result that was happening, and it's just, yeah, unfortunate.
The Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Avs 4-2. Highlighted by the fact that Cole Sillinger scored his 4th goal of the year. Bjorkstrand has 5, still one of the most underrated players in the league. Columbus's 7-3 start is tied for their best start in franchise history. This is after trading Seth Jones and everyone expecting them to be terrible. But one of the downsides, Patrick Laine is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique strain, so he's on IR. He wasn't dominant, but it looked like maybe he was starting to find his groove a little bit, and now he's hurt as well. So very untimely injuries continuing to be a problem. Any takes on that before we talk about this ridiculousness?
No, I'm already laughing at the next one.
No.
It had to be
The Coyotes win their first game of the season, beating the Kraken 5-4. Jordan Eberle has 6 goals for the Kraken, but in this game, Lawson Krause scored his 3rd. Shout out to Phil Kessel with 2 goals now.
Poor guy.
3rd period, Mark Giordano ties the game at 4 apiece, 18:42 into the 3rd. 13 seconds later, Lawson Krause scored his 2nd of the game, his 4th of the year, and ultimately the game winner after a brutal turnover from Adam Larson. So the Oats win their first. Winning goaltender, Scott Wedgwood. This is the 2nd time he has done this. He is the only goalie in NHL history to snap 2 11-game winless streaks. Scott Wedgwood is the answer. He is the ultimate slump buster. It's unreal because his numbers, by the way, were atrocious. And then even in this game, he still allowed 4 goals and he gets the win. So Scott Wedgwood is voodoo, I think is the best way to put it. And poor Seattle. What can you even say to losing a game in that fashion?
Rough. That's about
Yeah.
it. But lol, it had to be the Kraken, didn't it? To be the first team to lose to the
Sin's on to
Coyotes.
something, man. Like, Vegas got all the favoritism because the Kraken are getting boned in so many
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. Ah,
Oh, God.
they're putting goddamn
as one for
chemicals in the
Kraken.
water. No, just kidding. All right.
Turn the Kraken game. Oh, what the fuck is that? Bubble tea?
So,
Podcast? Thank you.
the Kraken... Endo, you're not muted.
Oh, shit,
The Kraken...
I got bubble tea. I'm gonna flex on y'all. Fuck it.
There you go. The Kraken revealed the AHL team name and colors. Sin, I want your opinion on this. The Coachella Valley Firebirds.
Coachella
the newest
sucks
AHL club.
this year. Shout out to
Hey, yo,
Eric
what
Andre.
the fuck is up,
Yeah.
Coachella?
I
What
like
a
the
weird-
logo. The Coachella Valley name, though, is interesting
Why?
because obviously the term Coachella is so identifiable of one thing, obviously, and it's the festival. So it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one to overlook, huh?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I don't know,
I'm laughing.
Firebirds. Why Firebirds? There's no note of phoenixes anymore. You uncultured swine.
The Coachella Valley Multresses, as they were
The
called.
Poke team. The Coachella Poke team.
Oh man.
Oh man, just the,
Choose
one
in
thing,
Spanish. Zapdos.
the funniest thing about this was it's Coachella. My first thought was like when they have their inaugural game, They just have a hologram of Tupac on the ice. Yo, what the fuck is up, Coachella?
He's gonna drop a new album somehow when they make their debut.
I picked the wrong time to take a drink there. God. As well, Flames beat the Rangers on Saturday 6-0. Just picking what was left. The Vultures, known as the Calgary Flames, picking whatever meat was left on the bone after Conor McDavid eviscerated them. It was another shutout for Markstrom. He is now one of the very few. We have goaltenders to record 4 shutouts within their team's first 11 games of the season. Since the NHL introduced the red line, 43-44 is the caveat. So again, 4 shutouts in 11 games. He joins Jacques Plante, Bernie Parent, Pascal Leclerc, and now Jacob Markstrom. Shout out to Pascal Leclerc. 07-08 Blue Jackets.
So literally all of them are French until Markstrom.
Yeah.
Good job. Quebec's losing their shit right now.
God. Matthew Tkachuk, by the way, to speak of him, he scored his 6th of the year on the sweep between the legs goal. Highlight of this game above the shutout, Adam Fox was booed by Flames fans.
For absolutely owning them.
I mean, I get being mad that the Norris winner didn't stay, but also chanting, "You suck," to the reigning Norris winner at 23 years old. It's a look, but their team won.
That's Canada, baby.
But, oh, God. Interesting. And then we get to the final game on Saturday. We'll breeze through Sunday, too. But the Devils beat the Sharks 3-2 in a shootout. Jonathan Dahlen did score his 5th of the year in the loss, but I think the biggest highlight of the weekend for the Sharks is the fact that William Eklund was indeed sent back over to Sweden.
Yeah, and we talked about this a bit at length on, I think, the last episode or maybe the one before that. And it's a tough decision to make, but this is the right decision. And again, I'm going to bring up Capo Caco as why you do not rush them along. I don't care the flashes of greatness that you see. He wasn't ready, and you could plainly see that at times. He would lose a puck battle. He would, maybe not make a great decision, a couple soft passes here and there. He feels like he's ready. He was disappointed as hell, very emotional. And honestly, I look at that as a plus. A lot of people are, get in their own feelings about it and be like, oh, he deserves to be here. Like, motherfuckers, it's hockey, son. Like, you got to stand up to the grueling 82-game schedule from a physical standpoint, which he's not ready for, as well as a mental standpoint, which in my opinion, he's not quite ready for. But this is going to be an important part of his development, and this is the right development track. As well, it also saves the organization a shit ton of money. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, that's the main reason they did it. I think that's part of it. But really, again, only having those 4 assists in the 9 games that he played isn't enough. It's not a big enough impact to warrant keeping him in the top 6 on that roster, because that's where you have to play him. With his build size, with what he's bringing to the table right now, can't really be a 3rd, 4th line guy with power play time. That's not what you want out of him. Send him back to Djurgården where he'll get first line time, most likely, a chance to dig that team out of the ditch that they're in right now. I think they're 13th out of 14th teams there. Yeah, so I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for that opinion among Sharks fans who all think he should stay up and this team's doing it to tank. It's like they're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and with the evidence presented and the situation that they're in. Besides, we can't, if he was the rookie this year, we can't, Dahlen and Eklund can't both win the Calder, guys. All right, so Dahlen's got to win it this year. Eklund can do it next year.
You mean to tell Wings fans that Raymond and Seider both can't win it?
Oh, they should though. Can they split it, please?
They should.
Can they fucking split it? Because they're so good. I know I'm the weird one for saying Seider should win it over him because he's playing against the top goddamn lines, and he's still. I mean,
I'm kind of leaning towards that as well. I mean, man, you want to side if a defenseman's that goddamn impressive. I mean, come on now. They kind of deserve a bit of an extra shout out there.
God, again, Yzerman, what the fuck? This guy doesn't miss. Everyone's
that was
who? Moritz who? This guy was projected the 2nd round or whatever. Whenever he was projected, it was I feel like it was almost he was projected 2nd round or something wild like that.
I think it might have been
or something weird.
later first, but regardless, I mean, yeah, that'll. I mean, if Moritz Seider continues at this trajectory, right? You look at the reactions in the arena at the time that happened, because Dylan Cousins, Philip Broberg, Trevor Zegras, Paul Colson, Spencer Knight, like all these guys, Cole Caulfield. I mean, God, that 2019 draft. You look at who's still there, and he goes for this German kid, Moritz Seider. And it's Steve Eisenman's world, and we're all just living in it.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Sunday here, because, again, the show's actually ended up running much longer than I would have thought. The Wings won again. They beat the Golden Knights 5-2. Lucas Raymond scored his 6th of the year. Bertuzzi his 9th. Shout out to Vladislav Nemesnikov. His goal count watch. He has 5. There was a question from Joe. When is it okay to say that your team is decent? Team meaning the Red Wings. They're decent. They're not a shit show. I don't expect the Red Wings to make the playoffs, but this is what you were hoping for. This is that hope stage. Mm-hmm. And maybe you pull a Maple Leafs and make the playoffs and lose to Washington in the first round a year or so earlier than you thought. And no, I'm not saying that to hate. I'm not. Think about how awesome that was for Leafs fans. How fucking excited you guys were. You're like, holy shit, we're in the playoffs. Oh my God, we could have won that series. And yeah, it's been downhill ever since. Now you can look at me that way. But, like, again, like, it's the Wings have turned the corner. You know, it's still probably a couple years away, you would think. Or if you're like the Leafs, you're still 5+ years away. But at the end of the day, you have turned the corner. The Red Wings are decent. So I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that.
I think that
the Chicago Blackhawks. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that the place where they're in right now is they've carved out their identity. They are a tough team to beat. And that's the next step after being the bottom feeding rebuilder. Once you start getting that young talent, once you start getting that core and you get the buy-in, you get the mentality, all of a sudden you're a tough team to play against. Teams aren't, you're not looking at them anymore as if you drop a game to this team, you fucking suck. It's like, yo, they're getting good and you got to watch out for them. And that's a good place to be as a Red Wings fan. So yeah, I'm on the board. Yeah, right now, get excited.
The Chicago Blackhawks won just their second game of the season, beating the Nashville Predators 2-1 in overtime. DeBrincat's 7th for an OT winner. Brandon Hagel scored his 4th of the year. Before this, though, the Blackhawks had officially dismissed head coach Jeremy Colleton. Interim coach Derek King was on the bench for this game. I mean, long overdue, right? I don't really know how much of a talking point this is for us, but Colleton had a really unfortunate tenure. Like, he never had a full season. He was a midseason replacement. There was the pause, the full COVID season, and then he was fired.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not saying he deserved longer because it really didn't look like he was the guy for the job, but at the end of the day, finally they make this decision to get rid of Jeremy Colleton. And
kept scratching Strome, and now look. Strome is a solid. I don't get why he kept fourth lining or scratching Strome. God damn.
I mean, I don't think any of us have an answer for that necessarily. So I'll be intrigued to see if I think it was Derek King, if he sticks around or where else they might go.
Babcock.
Because who knows?
Why not?
But
go for Babcock, double down on being
God,
shitty.
so I didn't even want to say his name, but can the media fucking stop giving him attention?
Redemption for Babcock.
He's
Sorry,
learned something.
media.
He literally says in the fucking article, yeah, Mitch Marner played well for Mike Babcock. He always refers to himself in the third person like he's the fucking Rock. Nobody gives a shit. He is a piece of shit. Leave Mike Babcock out of hockey. We are moving on. Have you not learned anything? A couple years from now, it's going to be, oh, well, Joe Quenneville's still a legend. Let's give him the fuck Joe Quenneville, fuck Mike Babcock. Leave them the fuck out of the sport. I'm done.
Yep.
Society has evolved past the need for Mike Babcock.
Holy shit. Has the man even apologized to Johan Franzen? I fucking doubt it. You know, Mike Babcock apologized to Johan Franzen. I'm Mike Babcock. Well, Mike Babcock's apologized. Fucking player. Like, fuck this guy.
You're damn
add
right
a couple
you did.
A's in there, you got it perfectly down.
Fucking Christ. The Ducks beat the Blues 4-1. Troy Terry's fucking sick. He's got an 11-game point streak. The Wild beat the Islanders. How the fuck does Ryan Hartman have 6 goals? The Wild have come from behind to win 8 of their wins. 7 have been comeback wins in 11 fucking games. It's absurd. And the Canucks beat the Stars. All of the Canucks' big players showed up. Miller with 2 goals. Horvat, Besser, Podkolzin, Pedersen. Pedersen only has 2 goals, by the way. And Thatcher Demko is fucking unreal.
Demko!
And the Dallas Stars are the only team to not win a game in regulation so far this season. There you go. That was everything from Sunday. You riled me up about Mike Babcock, and now I'm like, fuck this shit.
Oh, man.
Boys, any takes from those games on Sunday, or are we about ready?
Ryan Suter plays for the Stars. I almost forgot.
Yeah, he scored that. That was one of the notes I had written down,
And
right? That he
Pavelski
scored his
got
first
3.
goal as a star.
Captain America, baby. Still got it.
Oh, God.
Still got it.
So with that,
Demko's the best. Demko is on a
dude,
redemption.
he might win the Vezina
Yeah,
this year.
he's
There's-
playing unreal. He's always been like
I'm
the one. Let me fucking speak. Thank you.
I was.
Okay. Sorry. Ruining the
Speak
moment.
now or forever hold your peas.
I don't have peas. I have boba though, so I'll just hold this. Okay, Demko has always been a weird. I feel like he's always been like a. He's on the cusp of being an elite goaltender, and I think now he's finally just taking it, just going for it, being the guy. I model my style off of that man. Him and Juicy Soros. It's great. That's all I wanted to say.
Juicy.
Juicy sore
Juicy
ass.
Soros.
Let's go.
Oof.
Goodness. So, to end this show, a couple of things have come out that we're not going to talk about today. We're going to wait for more info to drop. Rick Westhead of TSN dropped an interview. Another one. This is with the mother of John Doe 2, who has not been named. I highly recommend everybody check out that particular interview. I'll be watching it the second that we wrap up this show. As well, there was another more shitty topic that there's been a polarizing reaction somehow. But hey, guess what? It's a spotlight being shown on shady people. Outsports.com, O-U-T, sports.com, is covering a story right now. The headline, Massachusetts high school hockey team facing allegations of brazenly homophobic and racist hazing.
Jesus.
Let's call it a not so well kept secret about some of the shit that goes on in high school level and above, if not even below, potentially, in terms of Massachusetts hockey. I think a lot of people in the state can tell you that, yeah, some shady shit goes on. Mm-hmm. Haven't been able to read enough into that, but that headline popped up and people were like, hey, you're going to talk about this? Potentially give me time. I don't want to sit here and talk too much about this, but I at least wanted to acknowledge it. And again, do some research of your own, do some reading of that article. And I guess essentially inform yourself. To end the show on a more positive note, we talked about FHM earlier, and I do want to say, again, if you go to @franchisehockey on Twitter, they have a link to their website. You can go to their website. You can go to their shop. It will direct you to a Fast Spring checkout. And at that Fast Spring store, if you use code Tougie24, FHM8, you can get yourself a nice little discount on FHM8. That is official. You guys are the first ones to know that you can get yourself a nice little discount on Franchise Hockey Manager 8. So make sure to check that out. TOUGIE24, FHM8. Boys, this has been a hell of a show. It's another long one, but man, I've had fun over these last couple of shows. And again, we'll see what the next couple of days really bring us here in the world of hockey, because man, we couldn't even make it through this particular episode without more stuff kind of popping up. Yeah. But we'll end things for now. The long-winded nature of the show continues, but I love it. Endo, have you finally figured out how to plug your own stuff here?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Endo. I make content sometimes. I promise I'm going to get a YouTube stuff going up soon, but I stream now officially, I wanted to make a video but every day I'm streaming on Twitch from like 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Twitch.tv/EndoMills. That's where I'm at. Come watch me do random stuff. Probably not play NHL anymore because I gotta enjoy my life, man. And I'm tired of. I'm already seeing stuff that's happened to Sim with his rosters and his files getting erased. I'm sorry, buddy. And stuff happened to Tougie last year. His roster's getting erased. Sorry, buddy. And I don't want to take the risk. I'm gonna go play Minecraft. Fuck it. I'm gonna blow up and be a Minecraft. You know what? That's me. Anyways, yeah, twitch.tv/EndoMills.
Well,
I'm getting better.
You can find me at on Twitter, as you see below, at SinFTWProd, and on YouTube and Twitch at Sin for the Win Productions. Franchise content on YouTube, just one series allowed, because if you make another one, that save file will just get deleted. No more Beer Pro, because no one gives a fuck about that, and the gameplay sucks. And we'll see what I do on Twitch. I don't know. Still trying to carve out that niche since I, again, can't really do franchise, but we'll see how things go.
And of course, I am everywhere at Tougie24. You probably already know that if you found this show. We will be back, I believe, this Thursday. I can't wait to see what the hockey world has in store for us to be able to talk about, because it has been anything but a dull opening month to the season. Again, a big shout out to Manscaped for sticking with us here. Code Tougie there at checkout. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. You know the deal. We'll see you all later this week. Have a good one. Take it easy. And God, I don't even know anymore. Markstrom's going to get 22 shutouts. Calling it.
Wow.
Every shutout. And then the Flames will still miss the playoffs and the city will implode.
Yep. Giddy up.
Goodbye, everybody.